We have breaking news we want to interrupt right now with. Apparently, Iran is launching some retaliatory attacks. Fox News is covering that live. Let's just dip in for a few minutes and hear what they have to say.
The wire right now through Reuters, Iran's top security body tells Qatar this action does not pose any threat to our friendly and brotherly neighbor, Qatar, making it obviously very clear that this is a targeted attack on the U.S. base only, Jennifer.
Well, that suggests to me, and again, if the Israeli intelligence is correct, and it's 6 ballistic missiles, those ballistic missiles would be GPS guided, and they would know where the U.S. air base is, Al Udeid. It was surprising to me earlier today when we heard about the intelligence that Iran was planning to strike Qatar because of their close relationship and the mediating role, the important mediating role that Qatar has played between Iran, its proxies, Hamas, Hezbollah, and others, with Israel and the United States. So I would not expect for a willy-nilly raining of missiles down on the people of Qatar or the Qataris themselves. But the U.S. has a very large air base there, about 40 miles outside of Doha. That is well known. And then there's the U.S. Embassy, and the U.S. Embassy staff were told earlier today and just moments ago to shelter in place. So clearly the belief that the U.S. targets in Qatar were likely the target of this alleged Iranian strike.
All right, Jan, stand by with this. Sandra, this is kind of interesting. Iran's top security body says the armed forces used the same number of bombs against Al Udeid that the U.S. had used in attacking Iran's nuclear facilities. So that would be a count of 14.
I really appreciate everybody rolling up. So we have got some massive news, all sorts of massive news, because even as I was going live, we have more breaking news that we're going to get to right at the end of this segment. But really lots of things going on. The first is that obviously the first set of breaking news, Iran launched a series of retaliatory strikes today. But what I want you to know, bottom line up front, these were all for show. This was a giant paper tiger propaganda machine. It's clear from, and I'm going to show you all the evidence. We're going to dive into it. It was clear from not from the get-go, but as soon as this thing got rolling, that Iran was responding for the sake of responding, more as an internal propaganda effort for their own people to help maintain the illusion that they are in control and possibly maintain their own power. I think they're more worried about an internal coup, an internal revolution, than they are about anything else. And they certainly realized, it seems as though that they realized that the U.S. was far more capable militarily. I think this strike by Trump, perpetrated by our amazing military, went a long way to demonstrating to Iran that you are out of your league. We just flew 7 bombers from around the world, 18 hours away, across oceans, countries, neutrals, hostiles, you name it. And the bombs were falling before you even knew we were there. And I think Iran realized the U.S. can strike us at will. If we get into this thing, it's going to get ugly. So we're going to dive into this. You saw that initial clip. So here I want to show you, we've actually got some video from the strikes. These took place over the air base in Qatar. And you can tell, I mean, this is just amazing footage. You've got airstrikes being intercepted in midair. Meanwhile, you've got super yachts and luxury condos in the background. I mean, if this is just not the modern day Middle East, I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy town. Super yachts, mega yachts, massive condos, and missiles flying. Just crazy. So here, this was over the U.S. Air Base in Qatar. Now, come to find out, and this is where I wanted to dive into some of the evidence. So what we've got, I want to show you this. So there's a lot of information that has now come out about these airstrikes, about the Iran response. So the New York Times has reported that Iran coordinated its attack on the U.S. Air Base in Qatar with Qatari officials and provided, some reports are saying, up to 12 hours advanced warning. They basically, I mean, just imagine this. You've just been bombed. Your nuclear program, for all intents and purposes, has been bombed back to the Stone Age. And you've been blustering for the last, 24 hours that you are going to respond. You are going to kill the infidel, blah, 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 blah. And you essentially call your quasi buddies in Qatar who, it's kind of like the love triangle in high school. Like, you got your girlfriend, but she's kind of your girlfriend, but she's also dating this other guy. And, so you basically call her and tell, and you and the other guy are in a fight. And you basically call her and say, tell the other guy that, I don't want to fight. So Iran calls Qatar and says, we're going to launch a bunch of missiles here in about, about 12 hours. And just so you know, just might want to give you a little bit of heads up because we like you, but we don't like the U.S. So we're only going to launch them at the U.S. base. But just want to let you know. And so Iran let America know. According to the Times source, Iran sought to deliver a symbolic response to President Trump's strike on the nuclear sites while keeping retaliation limited and allowing for an exit ramp. This is very similar to what they did back in 2020 following the killing of Soleimani. So this is absolutely amazing stuff. This just shows you the effect that Trump has on the world order, on foreign policy. Trump completely changes the game. This never would have happened with bumbling Biden or cackling Kamala. Now, so Trump tweeted about this right after, basically as it was going on or right after it was over. So check this out. Iran has officially responded to our obliteration of their nuclear facilities with a very weak response. Weak response, which we expected and have effectively countered. There have been 14 missiles fired, 13 were knocked down, one was set free because it was heading in a non-threatening direction. Now, there were more missiles that were fired also into against the Iraqi air bases. Evidently, 2 of those did land, but there was no property damage and no injuries. I am pleased to report that no Americans were harmed. Hardly any damage was done. Most importantly, they've gotten it all out of their system, and there will hopefully be no further hate. I want to thank Iran for giving us early notice. He's even acknowledging this, which made it possible for no lives to be lost and nobody to be injured. Perhaps Iran can now proceed to peace and harmony. Hey, spoiler alert, we got some big news at the end of this segment. So let's keep going. Trump goes on to thank the Emir of Qatar for basically taking the information that they got from Iran. I'd like to thank the highly respected Emir of Qatar that he has done in seeking peace for the region. Regarding the attack today at the American base in Qatar, I'm pleased to report that in addition to no Americans being killed, there have also been no Qataris killed or wounded, blah, blah, blah. So, I mean, awesome stuff here is what we got going on. Now, for those of you, because there were still, even today, there were the blustering morons on our own side, the actual not MAGA people, the new Trump deranged morons who just, I mean, they can't stand anything having to do with American show of strength. I don't know, or they are so Israeli deranged, which I understand. There are some huge issues with Israel as a country, how they've propagated the war in Gaza, what they've done to the United States in the past, how they involved us in Iraq and Afghanistan and Syria and all this other nonsense. There are huge issues. But at the same time, we cannot let Iran have a nuclear weapon. Why can we not let them have a nuclear weapon? Well, just a reminder of who Iran is. So here we go, just to give you a brief snippet.
بعضی از این حرفایی که در این سفر رئیس جمهور آمریکا به منطقه مطرح شد لایق جواب دادن نیست اصلا.
That's to America. That's to England. That's to Israel. Come on, yeah, that's to Now, I would love to know, I'd love to ask these people, all right, how much were you paid to show up at this little rally and shout this? And B, what were you threatened with if you didn't show up? Because all the reports we're getting is that the vast majority of Iranian people are done with Khamenei and all this other nonsense. But this is what we're looking at. This is why you could never let them have a nuclear weapon. Even Tulsi Gabbard had changed her tune. She was out today talking about the fact that Iran was close to getting a nuclear weapon. In her previous Senate testimony, she had said that the Supreme Leader had not greenlit the project to actually make a weapon, which is true. They hadn't actually greenlit the project, but they were refining. they had refined up to 60%, knowing that they can go from 60 to 90 in just a matter of weeks. And so if just because you haven't assembled an actual nuclear weapon payload doesn't mean that you're not putting everything in place so that you can do so in a couple of weeks. So even she came out and basically backtracked on some of the people that were using her as evidence that, oh my gosh, Iran was nowhere close and they were in peace talks and this is stupid. Even she came out and supported the president. So with that, the other thing that I wanted to show you, I think the other thing that was clearly evident to Iran in all this is that their coalition, whatever coalition they thought they had completely evaporated. Russia essentially came out and said, yeah, we're not involved. Iran, you did this to yourself. We're out. China remained silent. They condemned the attacks, but they didn't do anything really beyond that. And Iran's only real, quote unquote, nuclear card that they could play was closing the Strait of Hormuz, which the only one that really, really hurts is China. China gets all their oil from the Strait of Hormuz, basically. We don't. We could be self-sufficient if we had to. It would hurt Europe, but that would then draw in the French, the Germans, the Brits. All of NATO shows up. You've got a big problem. Now, at the same time, you've got the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia basically immediately expresses its condemnation of the aggression launched by Iran against their brotherly state of Qatar. So even Saudi came out and said, no, this ain't happening. We're out. We're not going to support you. Now, all this led to basically a whole, so Iran's complete response was without teeth. It was a paper tiger. It was designed all for show. It was nothing. It was nothing but political theater and a propaganda machine. Now, unfortunately, we had on our side, we had some dimwits out there calling for regime change. Now, Trump did weigh in, and this was a hot topic today. Did Trump call for regime change? I don't think so. And I want to explain this tweet before we get into some Lindsey Graham shenanigans. So Donald Trump tweeted out right after J.D. Vance went on the airwaves and said, we're not interested in regime change. Marco Rubio went out there and said, we're not interested in regime change. Pete Hegseth went out there and said, Trump's not interested in regime change. Then Trump tweets this, and everybody thinks, oh my God, he just threw all of his advisors under the bus. And he says, now I want you to listen to this carefully, because one thing that Trump does fairly well, he doesn't talk precisely. Like, he will use big, grandiose terms, but when he tweets, he tends to be a little more buttoned up. It is not politically correct to use the term regime change, but if the current Iranian regime is unable to make Iran great again, why wouldn't there be a regime change? This was not. Now, I'm not living in Trump's head, so this is my take on this tweet. This is absolutely not a green light for the neocons to start drawing up war plans for Iran. This was not a call for the Western powers, including Israel, to effect regime change in Iran. This was a call to the Iranian people. If you want regime change, it is on you. You stand up and do it. We'll support you. We'll cheerlead, but I do not take this in any way, shape, or form as we were ever going to put one boot on the ground, regardless of what Lindsey effing Graham said, because he's just a complete loser sometimes. He just drives me batty. So here's Graham breaking Lindsey Graham on the Senate floor arguing for regime change in Iran, saying we need to take out their leadership. Nope. We don't need to. If the Iranian people want to do it, let them do it. If the Israelis want to do it, let them do it. We're not going to do it. That would signal way too great an escalation. Trump's masterstroke move was overwhelming force on a very limited objective, the very limited objective of Iran's nuclear capability, going back to his 15-year ad nauseum comments that Iran can never have a nuclear weapon, over and over and over again. Throughout the campaign, he said Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. So he limited his strike to that specific objective, but he did it with overwhelming force to demonstrate not only to Iran, but to the world that we can hit whatever we want whenever we want. And we can hit it with massive power. And therefore, Iran, you cannot withstand us. If you want to escalate this thing, we will unleash that same level of force on your oil fields, your natural gas fields, your refineries, your ports, your economy, all of your military targets, and all of your leadership targets. We can take you out when we want. And so, despite Lindsey Graham's ridiculous nonsense, Trump was not going to get goaded in. In fact, so here's the other big piece of breaking news. While we were on, that is that Donald Trump just tweeted out, check this out. This is amazing. He just tweeted this out. Congratulations to everyone. It has been fully agreed by and between Israel and Iran that there will be a complete and total ceasefire in approximately 6 hours from now, when Israel and Iran have wound down and completed their in-progress final missions. So my understanding is there are still Israeli airplanes that were over Iran that were headed back, all that stuff. There were still Iranian missiles that were in the air for 12 hours, at which point the war will be considered ended officially. Iran will start the ceasefire. Upon the 12th hour, Israel will start the ceasefire. And upon the 24th hour, an official end to the 12-day war will be saluted by the world. During each ceasefire, the other side will remain peaceful and respectful on the assumption that everything works as it should, which it will. Trump's funny sometimes. I would like to congratulate both countries, Israel and Iran, on having the stamina, courage, intelligence to end what should be called the 12-day war. This is a war that could have gone on for years and destroyed the entire Middle East, but it didn't and never will. God bless Israel. God bless Iran. God bless the Middle East. God bless the United States of America. God bless the world. Donald J. Trump. So Trump, masterstroke number 2, has basically started the U.S. involvement in a war and ended it in 2 days. If this holds, he has brought this entire thing to an end, decimated Iran's potential nuclear capability, and opened the door for further negotiations to permanently end such nuclear capability. To the Candace Owens and Dave Smiths and others of the world who have just been lambasting Trump, do you not remember that Trump ran on no foreign wars, no foreign wars, no forever wars? Give the man a little bit of benefit of the doubt. Don't the minute he bombs somebody, immediately run to we're doing regime change and nation building and Trump betrays MAGA. You didn't do that when he was bombing the Houthis into the Stone Age. Why did you do it when he unleashed on Iran, specifically on Iran's nuclear capability? As he said, as J.D. Vance absolutely and very eloquently put, we did not on Saturday attack the nation of Iran. We did not attack the people of Iran. We did not even attack the government of Iran. We attacked specifically Iran's nuclear capability, their budding nuclear capability, and we put an end to it because they cannot have a nuclear weapon. So in basically 72 hours, Trump has started and ended the Iran war, which is absolutely amazing. Let's hope this holds. Let's pray. Let's pray for the peace of the Middle East. Let's pray that this holds and that we can get into real negotiations. And what I actually pray is that the Iranian people say enough's enough. Rise up, kick these morons out of power, and reinstitute some level of representative government. Go back to the Iran of the 70s, where women were free, where you had education, where you had all sorts of opportunity, where you were the modern embodiment of Persia, a rich, wealthy, cosmopolitan society. Let's hope that the Iranian people say enough's enough. That's what we can hope for. That's the only regime change I want to see in Iran. So with that, thanks everybody for rolling up. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share Courageous Media with everybody that you know as we try to bust out of this nonsensical YouTube algorithm. But we are monetized. Thank you very much for everybody who helped us do that. So if you want to support the channel, please hit us up with a super. Join us on Patreon. Really appreciate it. You can also become a member now on YouTube. Thanks so much for being here.